Another day and another loss for the Cubs. Same formula. One run, leadoff home run in the first, and then the rest of the game, the Cubs just could not muster anything. Bats weren't there. Defensively, a mistake by Ian Happ cost the Cubs. Kyle Hendricks, back to Kyle Hendricks again, put in a spot where he was out there too long, exploited by Milwaukee, a 7-1 loss for the Cubs, and now a situation where we have to be honest. This team's just not that good, and it's time to move on. All right, let's talk about that more right here on the Cubs Baseball channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Love you guys. Appreciate you being here. I know this isn't the best time to be a Cubs fan, but it is what it is. And I think that better days are ahead. It just is going to be with a different roster, at least if the Cubs want to win a World Series, because this roster isn't getting it done. Like, subscribe, comment, share, all that stuff. Let's go. All right, 7-1 loss today to the Brewers, and they end up losing the series. They get basically beat up on the road trip. And after yesterday's game, we thought that maybe Justin Steele, who basically said, hey, I think this team's a lot better than they're playing, was emotionally disappointed, upset, frustrated yesterday. Wake the F up. He was yelling, and the Cubs came back and won the game. And it was Ian Happ that hit a home run in that game. And without Ian Happ hitting, the Cubs really wouldn't have any wins over the last month, it feels like. But today, Ian Happ was on the wrong side of a miscue in the outfield, and it turned into a 7-run inning. Christian Yelich had homered off of Kyle Hendricks to give the Brewers the lead. And then, Ian Happ missed the ball. Then a grand slam came later. And when the dust settled, the Cubs had given up 7 runs. And with their anemic offense, the minute that another team punches back, the Cubs just don't have the counter punch. Another dead fish performance. So 27 outs after scoring the first guy, and it was a pathetic performance. But it's something that we've kind of come accustomed to now with this team. And I think the bottom line is they're just not that good. Are there good players? Yeah. No, there's good players. But this team isn't that good. As a matter of fact, they're one of the worst teams in baseball. And had they not gotten off to a really nice start at the beginning of the season, they'd be right there with the White Sox at the basement of baseball, right there with Miami, right there with Colorado. The thing that frustrates me the most is I just don't see the direction that they're going. And the fool's gold that we bought last year at the deadline set this franchise back a year or two. Could have sold some of these guys off last year and taken advantage of a market that has been, or at least last year it was, a heavy seller's market, which means that the buyers are paying a lot more to buy than you are to sell. You're getting a lot more back for your players. Now, the Cubs are being watched by the Phillies, who have had a rash of injuries, and they expect to win a World Series. They may be in the market for a Seiya Suzuki. They may be in a market for a Cody Bellinger. Who knows, right? But they're going to need some help if they're going to hold off the Braves and the rest of the National League. Their advanced scouts, the best they have, are watching the Cubs. Same thing with the Yankees, who could use a Cody Bellinger. And I know some of these contracts aren't as good as far as what the return might be for what you give up, because, hey, if teams would rather deal with the short-term deals. But the bottom line is that I don't necessarily know that's going to affect things too much, because it is such a heavy, and the Cubs need it to stay where it is right now, such a heavy market for buyers over sellers. A lot more buyers and a lot less sellers. Now, things can change between now and the end of the month, but even if the Cubs got back into this race, how confident are you that this team's even going to make the playoffs? And do you think that these guys really have a chance to win the World Series? I mean, what tells you that? You watch these games every day, and the at-bats, the competitiveness, they stink. They don't even pressure opposing teams. Watching them fall behind, you can guarantee yourself that they're not coming back. You give up 7, hey, let's get a couple runs and just cut into this. Nope, not going to do that. 3 up, 3 down. Walk, 2 hits in the entire game. And they came in like the first inning. Couple walks here and there, but they just aren't good. And that's the realization of what's going on here. 11 and a half games behind the Brewers, still within arm's length of the final wild card spot. But at the end of the day, do you see this team winning a World Series? Now, who would you trade? And I'm going to tell you, I would pretty much trade anybody. I wouldn't trade Michael Busch. I wouldn't trade Pete Crow Armstrong. But I'd trade anybody else, including Nico Hoerner. And I say, well, why would you trade Nico? Well, I mean, I like Nico, but you got guys in the minor leagues that could slide up there and play that spot. James Triantos, Matt Shaw, Luis Vasquez. I'm sure there's other guys I haven't even thought of that can go up there and basically give you a hand. And what's the difference between losing with this team and losing with another team? Because the bottom line is that they lose every single day. So it's like you get a win every once in a while just so that you don't have that prolonged losing streak. Hardly ever win 2 games in a row. And we see the same exact game every day. The offense sputters, score early maybe, and then basically fall asleep. Bullpen isn't good. Today, the starting pitching was, beat up. Kyle Hendricks, love Kyle Hendricks. But, I mean, the end of the road's near because the mistakes get hit so hard. I'll tell you, though, I watch him in the postgame. He's such a good guy. He always says the right things. He'd be a hell of a pitching coach. And maybe that's something that he wants to do. I don't know. He's made a ton of money playing the game, but if he loved it, he'd be a great coach, maybe a great manager. Now, a lot of people are saying, sorry to David Ross because he took this same team and got a lot more out of them than Craig Counsell. I think Craig Counsell is probably looking around going, I got to get my own people in here. And that's something that, I mean, he's in for the long haul. And I think his job security is the best of anyone around. If you're the Cubs front office, what are you thinking right now about Jed Hoyer and Carter Hawkins? But our analytics tell us that this team's better than they're playing. Analytics probably wouldn't have liked Pete Rose, right? Probably. Like, he has a lot of singles, I mean, who knows? But that guy could start a rally because he would get on base, bunt, hit, give me 5 hits. And I don't know. I mean, honestly, I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe this exit velo wasn't very high. Maybe this or that, because you hear all this stuff. Well, our projections tell us projections don't factor in the human element. And you got to have some dogs. You know what I mean? Like some dogs, like some guys that refuse to go through this, that are going to lead the team out of it. And you paid Dansby Swanson to be that guy. But Dansby Swanson is not an elite player. I think he's marginal. I think he's marginal at the plate. You can't put him in the middle of the lineup and him produce. He's an 8th batter on a good team. Maybe 7th, maybe 9th. But he's not a middle of the lineup guy. And his defense is good. He can run the bases. He's got leadership. But it's hard to be a leader when you're that bad, when you're not hitting. And I mean, and you just thought today would be the day we were going to see something. And all we saw was that this team is who they are. So we'll see what happens. Off day tomorrow. Disappointing. And obviously, a situation where their backs are against the wall, and the front office, they need to be doing stuff right now to save their jobs. I mean, if I was them, I'd be really concerned about my future, because if I own the team, if I was the Ricketts, I'd be looking around going, where are we? What direction are we going? And there's some good people up there. Don't get me wrong. It's not personal. It's just the bottom line is, if you don't win and you got the 8th highest payroll, and you're a Cubs, you're in one of the big markets, and you got high expectations, and you didn't make the playoffs the last year, you haven't been a real World Series contender in a while, when's that going to happen? But to me, the bigger thing is, what is the direction that this franchise is going? Always felt like when Theo got there, up until they won the World Series, I always felt like there was a real clear direction. And then eventually that got very murky, and the franchise went downhill fast. Right. And I'm wondering where that direction is right now, because they need to get it out there. There's going to be some heads are going to roll at some point, you would figure. Now, the other thing, and a lot of you guys I've read in the different comment sections about the all-female Marquee TV broadcast. And you guys, I don't think, have a problem with it being an all-female team, and I don't think you have a problem with the Cubs people. But you guys have made it clear everywhere I've looked that you don't like Beth Mowins. Now, the question that I have is, where's the tie-in with bringing Beth Mowins? Baseball is a game that you cover every day. So you tell me there's no one that covers the team every day that could come there and do this? I mean, you know what I'm saying? This isn't like a TV network like for, say, ESPN. It's it's a team's broadcast. So I'm baffled by that part of it. But I don't know. You guys tell me, because I don't remember seeing this many people aligned on something in a long time. I mean, we argue about a lot of stuff on here, and as Cubs fans, but that's on July the 5th. And, we'll see. Is she that bad? I mean, I that's the question I'm asking, because you guys think she is. And if you're running a TV network, I mean, are those the people that you bring in that fans hate? I mean, I don't know. The network people, Howard Cosell was on the network, the real network, not a team network, but, like a national network when I was a kid. And people hated him. People loved him, but he got huge ratings. Is that the case here? Or is this everybody's turning the channel to Wayne Randazzo, who's from Chicago, but he does the Angels games? Because you can do that on the app. I don't know about, if you're TV. But anyway, you guys tell me that. I just wanted to bring that up. I'm not taking a personal shot at Beth. I know who she is. And it being in the same business in some capacity, I understand how tough it is to do that job. I've done it myself. But at the same time, if we're on here and we're being honest, you can't read the comments that I've read and not bring it up. It's a story. And I just think that there's a difference between people saying, hey, you know what? I don't like someone's gender. I don't get that feeling here. But no matter what your gender is, if you're doing a job, you're entitled to the same criticism, just like you would be entitled to the same compliments. So we'll see. Anyway, you guys tell me in the comments section. Thanks for hanging out on the Cubs baseball channel. And Anthony will be on in the morning, so check out his show as well. Are you as frustrated as I am about this team? Do you think it's over? Time to move on? Let me know right here on the Cubs baseball channel. Love you guys. Thanks for being part of what we do. And again, like, subscribe, share with your friends, and better days are coming, I promise.